right, ladies and gentlemen. Dave and Alex.
The Pop 10.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Pop 10 for June 2017. I, of course, am your host, Dave Solo, and I'm coming to you once again from my favorite place on earth. That's Universal Orlando Resort. I'm here in the Radio Broadcast Center with my man Bob on the ones and twos, and it's another great month for pop culture. But as always, I am not alone. We have been truly blessed to have many celebrity guest co-hosts with us over the past few months, and this month is one of my favorite people ever that I've ever broadcasted with. She was kind enough to jump in and do my Solo Sessions podcast a long time ago, and we met through Twitter, like most people meet these days. She is a Twitter legend at this point, and she's just a fantastic human being. Everybody, please help me welcome Sharon, a.k.a. Nerdist Mom. Hi, Sharon.
Hey, Dave. It's so great to be back with you again. And I want to say that I've not been to Universal Orlando, even though I was born and raised in Florida. I've lived in Los Angeles since '88. And I want to say that, and I mean for no other reason except that it's true, my favorite place here is Universal Studios Hollywood.
Nice.
The other place might be the happiest place on earth for other people, but my happiness is at Universal. I love it there. I've loved it there since I was in high school, and it was just a small theme park, and you got on a tram and rode around, and I still have that feeling today, and it's gigantic, but I love it there.
It's an amazing place, and Hollywood, you all are fortunate enough to have the Walking Dead year-round attraction.
Yeah.
That's phenomenal. Yeah, we're going to talk theme parks. We're going to talk everything pop culture. I know you're into pop culture, and I can't wait to start the countdown. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, here is the Pop 10 for June 2017.
Number 10.
Well, it is wedding season, and comics are not letting us down as Batman proposes to Catwoman. So in DC Comics Batman issue 24, Batman will get down on one knee and finally propose to the one woman who gets him, the Catwoman. So, right. So, Sharon, I hope we get invited, first of all.
Me too.
Right.
Because I thought Chris and Lydia's wedding was something, but I don't know. This might pop that. This might do it.
But I think Chris maybe would agree with you, too, and want to go as well.
I have no doubt. And if he's not invited, he will be crushed to the core.
There's nothing that Chris Hardwick is not invited to, though, these days. So I'm pretty sure. We're just going to have to tag along with him and be the third wheel with him and Lydia, I think.
Exactly right. And we're going to do that. Yeah. And we're going to go as Batman and Catwoman.
Oh, this writes itself.
Cosplay. You and me, baby.
Okay, sign me up. We'll get a video crew, and it'll be the best thing ever on our YouTube channel.
I know we're going to crash the wedding.
As Batman and Catwoman.
And you know what would happen? They'll end up marrying us by accident.
I'm okay with everything in this scenario, actually. But what a big thing to happen. These two, most beloved comic book characters, and now he's Batman, the guy who is just so dark and doesn't seem to believe in the happiness of the world and love, is proposing to one of his arch rivals in a way.
I know.
It's pretty wild.
Well, you know what they say: opposites attract.
Touche. Are you a big? I know your son is a huge fan of comics, Walking Dead in particular, and superheroes. Were you ever a big comic fan?
Actually, I was not, but I've been a Batman fan since I was a kid. And Batman. Now I realized that was a different Batman than this Batman, and as the movies came out. You have to realize the age difference here, but I wasn't very happy with the way Batman was turning out in those movies because that's not the Batman, may he rest in peace, Adam West, that I knew and loved. And, back then, back in the olden days, Batman was he was a little different. He was a little withdrawn, and you knew there was. We didn't think of it as dark. We
Right.
just thought he was just a private type. You know, it was very different, and it has been interesting over all these years to see how they've taken that character each time and transformed him into something very different
Right.
than the Batman that I grew up with.
In you know, you brought up some good points. Adam West was the Batman. Everybody thinks of
Yeah.
Batman.
Yeah.
And even I mean, obviously it's such a tragic loss, but he will always be remembered as Batman, and I think that's a wonderful thing. And it's
You know what I love about him?
yeah,
He was fine with that.
yeah,
You know, I loved it. And I hope if everyone listening has not, and I don't mean to pitch this, but honestly, if people have not heard the Nerdist podcast with Adam West,
yeah,
please do yourself a favor and listen. And remember, when you're listening, the man was about 85 and a half, 86 years old. And he is so sharp and so crisp.
yeah.
And his sense of humor is just incredible. And he offers so much so freely. And I think that the thing I love about him is that he never resented that he was still Batman. He
Right.
embraced it and he loved it. And I always felt that way about Henry Winkler. That Henry Winkler, you're not insulting him if you go, hey, you
Right.
know, like the Fonz. And I just love that. And, you know, another person that's like that, and, you know, I was in college, and I used to watch this with the football players, but we used to watch All My Children, you know, the soap.
Yeah.
And what I always loved is Susan Lucci never left. She embraced it. She was a soap star. She loved it. So I think my feeling is that no matter what it is that you work on, that you like, that you're proud of, I just don't like it when people get resentful that later in life people still want to bring that up. Why not?
Right.
You did it. It was great, you know. So I loved him, and really in that podcast, I think you really, really get a sense at 85, 86 years old who this man still was after all those years.
Absolutely, and I'm all for listening to Nerdist podcast. It was one of the podcasts that inspired me, and I think Chris is a pioneer, I think, in podcasting world. So I need to listen. I need to re-listen to it. I'm sure I listened to it, but I need to re-listen to it.
Oh yeah, just especially now after losing him this week, it's really wonderful. And another one to listen to now is Joan Rivers.
Oh, nice.
So it's a great podcast.
Great.
To hear now after the fact.
Yeah, so everybody listen to the rest of this podcast and then go listen to those podcasts.
Of course. Absolutely.
So put the call in, and Sharon and I are going to the craziest wedding in Gotham as Batman proposes to
Catwoman.
Number 9.
One category that we especially love here at the Pop 10 is viral. And this month's viral video doesn't come to us from the YouTubes necessarily or the Facebooks. It was originally posted on Instagram. It was a little girl's meltdown, and it's a video of her and her father. 2-year-old Tiara Vasquez had a little problem at daycare. It appeared that day that the other little kids were calling her bad, and she was just grief stricken. And her dad was there with her in the vehicle. He's a big Instagram guy now, and she just wanted a hug. And, he just said, talk to me, and just gave her a hug. So I'm interested in your take on this, Sharon, before I go any further.
Well, I had seen the video before you sent it to me. And so I watched it again twice after you sent it to see if I could get a different feeling than my first reaction when I saw it. And my reaction is probably a little different than most people because when I saw it, it disturbed me in the beginning when I felt the dad was prodding her, poking at her.
Ooh.
The little girl was inconsolable. She was crying. And I wish, and of course, who am I to tell someone how to parent?
No.
But just, for me, I wish that he had held her first.
Right.
And let her cry. Instead, it was almost as if he was prodding her because she's not talking about it. She's not telling him, well, tell me.
Right.
And then what did the little girl say? I want to see Mommy.
I want to see Mommy, yeah.
And I suspect that she wants to see Mommy because Mommy was just going to hold her in her arms and let her cry.
Right.
And then when she was ready, tell her what happened. Whereas he, I felt, was poking at her. And I don't mean to imply anything bad about him, but I don't know, I have a very, very strong, maybe overactive maternal instinct.
Yeah.
And it just didn't sit well with me when I saw it. And what really bothered me, okay, I'll be honest, I feel like I'm in the therapist's office right now, but what bothered me were all the people going, oh, that's just, he's so wonderful,
Yeah.
And that was irritating me. I was like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
She practically had to fall on the floor before he would say, do you want a hug?
Right.
I don't know.
It's a great perspective that I didn't really think about. I think the point you bring up is extremely valid in these days in the social media world because the camera's rolling and they know the camera's rolling. So
right.
If it's a video of a father just hugging a child, where's the dramatic effect there? So
right.
I think that's a really good point. Yeah, like you said, I want to see Mommy when he wasn't giving her the
I want
hug.
to see Mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
he didn't like it. He goes, I want to see Mommy too. Now what happened?
Now tell me what happened.
That's like,
yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I think, out of the mouths of babes, and I think she just wanted, if the hug is what he wanted to be praised for, I wish he would have hugged her in the beginning
right.
and let her cry it out a little bit. Because kids will do that. If you comfort them first, then they have a little time. They know they're safe. They feel safe. They don't feel pressured to tell you anything. Then they're going to spill the beans.
Yeah. And what are your thoughts? I'm curious now, too, especially. Because I watched it again right before we went on air. I showed it to Bob. And, one part for me that I'm on the fence, and again, I'm super interested to hear your take, is when he says, don't let him see you cry.
Oh, that really bothered me.
Okay. Why?
Because instead of offering another solution, another type of stance or behavior when somebody does something like that, don't let them see you cry. Now, obviously, I don't let anybody see me cry. So in one part of me, if the child was older,
yeah.
if the child was 10, 11, well, maybe even older, maybe a teenager, I go, hey, don't let them see you cry.
Yeah.
But I just think that when a child is that young, you can't try to control their emotions. And, maybe you just don't bring that up. You don't say,
right.
Don't let them see you cry, as if the crying is something that's going to make you get attacked or, I think in his mind, he was like, you just be stronger and don't, but he wasn't talking to an adult. I like that philosophy for older people.
Yeah.
Because I would never, if I'm in a confrontation with you, you're not going to see me cry.
Yeah.
Believe me. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So
I grew up with Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers, and I think I remember them telling me when I was a kid that it's okay to cry, that everybody cries.
Right.
And it's okay to
that's when
be
that
emotional.
started, you know. That started, Chris grew up with that too.
Yeah.
And, you know, the reason that I liked Mr. Rogers so much, it used to irritate me as an adult. Oh, my God, when that show would come on, I would be like, I would rather do anything than get out of the room, except that I loved him for my child.
Yeah.
And the thing that I loved the most about whatever he said was, I like you just the way you are.
Yeah.
That message to me was a message every day that I wanted my child to get from someone else besides me, because that I always said that.
Right.
But I wanted him to feel it from an outsider or someone else. And so, as irritating as Mr. Rogers was as to me as an adult, he was endearing, and I loved him for getting down on the floor, if you will, and taking off his sweater and picking up the blocks and, you know, with the child and saying, I like you just the way you are. And it's okay to cry.
Yep.
I mean, he had a lot of messages.
Right. So
that I thought were really needed.
Yeah, and I think it all comes together in you know, the point that these viral videos, they go viral for particular reasons, but perhaps we can also learn something from them, you know. So
right.
I think it's a good thing.
Right.
So parents, hug your child just a little bit tighter tonight, and don't poke and prod, and tell them that you love them just the way they are.
Oh, that's the message.
Number 8.
It's time to march to war. In gaming this month with The Walking Dead March to War. Coming to mobile, it's a new kind of story-based multiplayer strategy game where players will be forced to build alliances and compete against rivals in a desperate struggle for scarce resources. So The March to War is coming. There's been a lot of Walking Dead mobile games and console games as well. Maybe not as big and maybe not as fun. But the world of The Walking Dead just keeps expanding. Have you played any of The Walking Dead video games? Are you a gamer at all, Sharon?
I'm not a gamer, but Chris and Lydia have a Walking Dead pinball machine, and I'm addicted to it. When I go over to their house,
nice.
That's all I want to do is play the Walking Dead pinball machine, mostly because it plays the theme, you know, all through the game. So I do love that, but you know, I'm just not a mobile gamer. Once again, I have to be careful of things that I could become addicted to time-wise.
Right.
You know, because I have a lot of those addictions already. So I can't, I just don't have time for one more. But it looks fun. I know Chris and Lydia are just consumed with it, and I enjoy watching them play, but I just sit back with the dog and kind of relax while we're sitting down by the pool and they're playing games, and I'm just saying, oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
You know, have fun. But it's fun to watch, really. Yeah,
there's been so many Road to Survival, No Man's Land mobile games, and you know, this one has a big focus on the big bad Negan, and it was a while ago you did the solo sessions. Yeah, so we'll take this opportunity in this category for me to get your opinion on kind of what's gone down on The Walking Dead and on Negan himself on the show.
You know, not to name drop, but I was having dinner. I was fortunate enough to be invited to dinner by Gail Ann Hurd, someone I worship. I mean, the woman, there's not enough time in this podcast for me. And, you know, I don't know that she'll hear this, so me, gushing on and on, I feel I can do it.
Yeah.
Because in front of her, I have to try to not do it, you know, because I just am so in awe of this woman. And there's so many facets to her. But anyway, so she invited me to dinner. We both live in the same town.
Nice.
And she's not here that much, but we like the same restaurants. So we had dinner, and I had a chance to tell her how brilliant I thought it was to cast Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Negan because, and I think this may have started with the governor, because I always had this love for the governor.
Yeah.
And I think what happens when they cast a really attractive, charming man or woman as a villain, it does a lot of things to your mind when you're watching the character, because you know that you should hate this person. And Negan, as far as I'm concerned, because I haven't seen many shows like Walking Dead, he's got to be the worst, most evil villain of all time, in my opinion. But I haven't seen some of the other shows with other villains. But to me, he really is. And yet, when the camera goes to him, you know, you just look at him, and I guess inside you're going, please be good, please change, please don't really be this person.
Right.
Please let there be a reason that we don't see yet, but you're really going to turn out to be a good guy, and you're really going to turn this around. You know it's not going to happen. But he's so good looking, and he's so charming, and I think that's brilliant. And I even noticed that when he saunters into the room, you know how he's got that swag?
Oh, yeah.
And he comes in, and I think the contrast, they're all sweaty, their noses are running, they're crying, they're dirty, and he walks in, and he is Mr. Picture Perfect. Yeah. He's groomed, his hair is perfect, and even when he smiles, it seems to me like they do something that makes the light bounce off of his teeth. I swear. I look at him and I see him smile, and I think I see, you know, like
gleam.
glitter.
Yeah.
And I think that contrast is so fascinating. Yeah. And, you know, when he said, those are some nice beach ball size lady nuts you got there. To Sasha. Well, that night on Twitter, I said, I'm going to see him next week at Talking Dead, and I would just give anything for him to say that to me. Well, some people on Twitter, out of the kindness of their hearts, made T-shirts for me that said that. I got about 6 of them.
Oh, nice.
And they even sent them overnight. And I have pictures on Twitter of it, and they sent the T-shirts, and Chris snapped a photo after the show that Jeffrey left the stage and walked to me. He walked over, he pulled me to him, he put his mouth in my ear where no one else could hear it and said it.
Oh,
and
wow.
Chris took snapped a shot of it.
That's phenomenal.
And it was so cool, but that's the thing about him. I want to hate him. And, you know, the night of the premiere of when he killed Glenn and Abraham, we were at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery for that episode.
Oh, yeah, yep.
And I hadn't seen it yet. Everybody in the cast was there, and they all thought I had seen it. They just automatically assume that Chris is going to let me see it, and he is not going to let me see it, and I've tried every bribery known to man, and he won't do it.
Yeah.
So so I would have to say right away, I haven't seen it. Right. I haven't seen it yet. And I was walking out into the cemetery where they had this huge screen, and we were going to see it out there. And as I'm walking, coming towards me was Norman and Jeffrey, Norman Reedus and Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Mm-hmm. And so Norman came up and hugged me, and then Jeffrey came up and he hugged me and he picked me up, and I said, and he starts kissing my face, and I said, please don't do that. I need to hate you soon. I'm pretty sure I need to hate you soon. And he said, that's never going to happen. Ooh. And he cursed me because I can't hate him now.
No, yeah, he definitely did. And What a guy, too. And it's funny you mention that because he is the villain, and his lines at Walker Stalker Con are just as long as Norman's. And they're huge. And I've had the pleasure of moderating his panels. I moderated his panel in London. I introduced him in Chicago. I just saw him in Nashville, and he is a phenomenal guy.
Oh,
he really is. So
he really, truly is. And I knew him from a series on, I think it was on Stars, called Magic City. And I was drawn to it because I was born and raised in Miami, and it takes place in Miami, I think probably in the 50s. So I was just born, and then in maybe the early 60s. And it was kind of a Mad Men thing for me because they dressed the same way.
Yeah.
And, I grew up in Miami Beach. It was glamorous. I mean, my dad used to take us on New Year's Eve to the midnight show at the Fontainebleau.
Ooh. And
it would be the Supremes or Sammy Davis or Frank Sinatra, and I would wear a gown. And, it was those are the days, and I grew up like that. So I was drawn to that show. He was magnificent in that show. He wasn't evil. He was a bad boy in that, but he wasn't evil. And so I fell in love with him then. When I found out he was coming on The Walking Dead, I could barely control my emotions,
Right.
And I wasn't happy that he was going to be Negan. Oh, my God, because I knew, how am I going to hate him? And it worked out perfectly the way they wanted it to.
Yeah.
You want to hate him, but you can't.
No.
And so they're just brilliant. Everybody from Gail to Kirkman to Nicotero, they're, Scott, I tell them, I'm not afraid of the zombies. I'm afraid of the writers.
Good call.
They scare me more.
Yeah, they kill more people too, I think.
Yeah, Gimple, every time. Gimple he looks so innocent, and he's soft-spoken, and, he looks like the doctor you always wanted. Like he would be like your favorite doctor. And
right.
You think he couldn't have one of those thoughts in his brain. In a way, he's like Negan, because he looks entirely different than what is really going on in his mind. And I think that's very good for the show.
Absolutely. I can't wait to see what happens when we resume with the next season. And everybody, please join the survivors at marchtowar.com for updates and a free in-game captive walker at launch.
Number 7.
We love celebrating birthdays here at the Pop 10, and this one is a monumental birthday. We're talking Freddy Krueger himself, Mr. Robert Englund, just turned 70, right? He is the horror icon, Freddy Krueger. This is the horror movie that started as a low-budget film. That success has led to 4 sequels and a battle with Jason, and he is just a phenomenal guy. Freddy Krueger, Robert Englund, turned 70. Are you as excited as I am, Sharon?
Well, he's another one, I think, who hasn't run away from his character.
Yeah.
He's done other things. He likes to step out and do other things. But, again, I respect someone who, his character became an icon and something that people talk about. And he's always going to be Freddy Krueger. I don't care what he does now. And he's just fine with that. And that just makes me really like him.
Yeah, and his story to being Freddy, too, is a really good one. I've had the pleasure of meeting him and moderating his panels. He was this long-haired, blonde surfer guy, basically,
right,
who became a horror icon, and he's still an avid surfer. So there's a couple more sides to Robert Englund than just Freddy Krueger.
Oh, absolutely. And he was born, I'm in the Pasadena area, and he's from Glendale, which is the next town over. And it's very different from the rest of L.A. We're not the Valley.
Yeah.
We're not the West Side. If you came here, you would think that you were in back east, because the trees grow over the streets and the architecture is, we look down on tearing down the old house. We don't have tract housing here. Every house on every block is different from the house next to it across the street from it. And Glendale is that same way. And so it's just a different vibe from the rest of LA. And so that's where he comes from.
Yeah.
And
he still talks about it now and how much he loves California and he loves the water.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just a phenomenal guy. And as far as horror, the horror genre, and I'm pretty sure we talked about this in the solo sessions years ago, but what's your horror go-to? Has Freddy been your favorite? Is there another icon or franchise that you really love?
I wasn't ever a big horror movie. I mean, I was, I'm not afraid of things that I believe can't happen, like zombies. Walkers don't scare me because, I don't think in my lifetime it's going to happen. And so I'm not afraid of that, but I am afraid of people that go bad, So I just kind of stayed away from it. And the main reason is I would go and then I would cover my eyes the whole time. So, when Chris did the Rob Zombie movies.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I mean, he didn't even want me to go see it when he did House of a Thousand Corpses. And I did have to cover my eyes. I sat through the whole movie with Bob Saget and the Zappa brothers were sitting behind me. I was sitting next to Chris, and they were all touching me or holding onto my shoulder. I mean, they were all like they were scared, and then they were worried about me. And then finally, at where Chris's life ends and the way it does, I really couldn't look at that part. And then when he did the cameo in the Halloween movie that Rob did, I went to the movie theater and I had him tell me about how many minutes into the movie, and then I stood in the side aisle and kind of just didn't watch the movie until, his part. I saw his part, and then I left, So I'm a little bit of a chicken that way.
At the end of the day, though, at least you can say you've seen a horror movie with Bob Saget, and I think a lot of people would love to say that.
Yeah, that I have to say, any experience with Bob Saget, and the most precious experience was I sold Bob his house.
Oh, wow.
And it's been many years ago, and to this day, I still tell him all the time, no one has unseated you as the best client ever.
Wow.
He is the most considerate, kindest, and I told him, I said, the main thing I love about you is you never cheated on me. Because a lot of people they'll say, oh yeah, will you show me some houses? And the next thing you know, they might be looking with someone else.
Right.
So with Bob, it took a long time to find exactly what he wanted. And he never was out looking with anyone else. And when I found the house, he walked in and he said, absolutely, this is it. And I knew, that it was the house and that was it. He made the decision, but he is the most considerate person. He would call me 10 minutes before the appointment and say, I'm 10 minutes away. I'll be right there on time. And he always was. And, he's, as the Jews say, and it's my favorite thing, and I grew up in a Jewish neighborhood, so I use a lot of their words because there are no other words like it. Bob Saget is a mensch.
He's a mensch.
The best of the best of the best.
Oh, wow, that's a good note to end it on. Bob Saget, the mensch, and Robert Englund,
Yeah.
turning 70. So happy birthday, Mr. England.
Happy birthday, Freddy Krueger.
I'll see you in my dreams.
Number 6.
Congratulations are going out today, of course, to the Pittsburgh Penguins, who just defeated the Nashville Predators for the Stanley Cup and the NHL Finals. We're talking sports. We're talking hockey. We're talking Stanley Cup. Did you watch the Stanley Cup series at all, Sharon?
Not 1 minute.
Yeah, I know you love sports. You're not a big hockey person necessarily.
Well, the reason is I'm not a soccer fan and I'm not a hockey fan, but for two different reasons. I don't feel that my makeup would ever lend itself to liking soccer. I just don't like it, period. I don't want people to tweet at me and tell me why I should like it. I'm a sports person. I've given it a chance. I don't like it. Any game that ends in a tie in the playoffs is not a sport I can get into. I just don't like it, period. Now, hockey, it's different. I've seen hockey, and I know me. That would become another obsession. And God knows I have enough of those. I spent the last 2 weeks not sleeping because I had to watch the French Open in real time.
Ooh.
So that's the middle of the night for me.
Okay.
And so so I don't watch hockey because I know that I'll get hooked, and I just don't have time for one more thing that is that I have to be that passionate and that addicted to. It's NBA.
Yep.
That's over now. I'm sad that it's over. Congratulations to the Warriors.
Yeah.
I love LeBron James. I loved him before he went to Miami, my team. When he went to Miami, I got a chance to personally, because he and Chris are partners on the NBC show The Wall. So I've gotten to be with LeBron and talk to him. And one of the big thrills of my life was getting to tell LeBron James, thank you so much as a Miami Heat fan. I appreciate everything you did for us, and I didn't resent you one bit when you left and went back to Cleveland. I was sad, but I didn't resent you or hate you for it. And that was great for me to be able, to tell him that. But, now if hockey were in a season, an off season from the other sports, I would probably really get into it.
If you had to pick one sport as your sport, because I know you do love football, you do love basketball, which one is yours?
And I love baseball.
And baseball. That's why we had this conversation the other day. You're a Yankee fan, right?
Wait, this is even worse for people to digest. I'm a Yankee and a Dodger fan. But, I have my AL team, I have my NL team.
Yeah, that's fine.
Don't judge me. But I've always loved the Dodgers.
Right.
And I've always loved the Yankees. But I didn't grow up when they were arch rivals in the same town,
Yeah. So,
yeah.
You love the baseball, and
you're going to make me pick. I can't do it.
Can't do it. Well, you love the Yankees. Have you been to Fenway Park ever?
Yeah, I've been to Fenway Park.
My Boston comes out when I say that. I can't.
I've been to Fenway Park.
My family will disown me if I don't say it correctly.
The one thing I think I remember that really pissed me off when I got there is they had Pepsi instead of Diet Coke, and that just, pushed me to the brink. Now, I don't know what they're serving now.
Right.
I think when it was Pepsi, I went, I can't do this. Like, I hate the Angels. I hate going there. I hate the stadium. I think their food sucks, and they have Pepsi. So
they're out. It's Coke in Yankee Stadium? Is that verified?
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. There it is. Well,
and my dear friend forever, Barry Zito, played for the A's.
Mm-hmm.
And for 7 years, I would get on the plane in Burbank and fly to Oakland and go to the game, see Barry afterwards, maybe eat a little dinner, get on the plane, and come back home. And for 7 years, I was tortured because they only had Pepsi in the Coliseum. So when he became a free agent, I said, look, whatever you do, please don't go to the Padres or the Angels. And he starts laughing, and he said, why? And I said, because they both have Pepsi.
That's great.
And I suffered 7 years with that.
Oh.
So when he signed with the Giants, I came up for opening day, which was just an amazing thrill. He started his first start, as a Giant was opening day. So I can't even tell you what that was like. And so he said to me before I got there, I have a surprise for you in left field. And I thought, what the heck? And I got there, and when you look in left field, you see this giant Coke bottle tilted on its side on the top of the wall. And I was like, oh, my God. And he goes, yeah, that's why I signed with the Giants.
Coke you need an endorsement now officially from Coke after.
Oh, I am the queen of Diet Coke.
Nice.
If a restaurant doesn't serve Diet Coke, I don't eat there,
Wow.
And don't ever let me ask for a Diet Coke and bring me a Diet Pepsi and think I'm not going to know. The second I take a sip, it's all over.
So at one point, you and I are going to have to go to a ballpark when the Yankees play the Red Sox. You with Diet Coke in hand, me with Diet Pepsi, and we'll see who comes out on top.
Okay. Okay. Well, last week, it looks like I might come out the winner.
Yeah. I think so. Well, congratulations to...
I don't want to say that in 5 games they scored about 55 runs and hit 17 home runs, but oh well.
Oh, well. You win this round, Sharon. You win this round.
I know, but it goes back and forth. Don't think I don't know it. And you know what? I love Kurt Schilling.
Yeah.
I love Big Papi.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not just a hater.
No, there's enough Diet Coke to go around.
That's right.
Number 5.
So this month we're celebrating birthdays, we're celebrating championship wins, and we're celebrating anniversaries. Sgt. Pepper's turns 50. You got to listen to it on vinyl, right? It's crazy to think that one of the most prolific albums of all time, Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, by the Beatles, of course, is 50 years old. Are you a big Beatles fan, Sharon?
Absolutely. Always was.
There is so much to celebrate here, right? It's the 50th anniversary, and the following were just released. A new stereo mix of the album will be available as a single CD and a part of every other package. An expanded deluxe edition will be released digitally, as well as a 2 CD set or 2 LP vinyl package, which I recommend because everything is better on vinyl. A 6-disc box set will be available. The list goes on and on and on. There is going to be a super deluxe box set with 33 more recordings from the sessions, Blu-ray DVD combo, 1992 documentary, the making of. There's so much to celebrate here. It's just mind-blowing.
Okay, here's what I want everybody to do.
Yeah.
They'll kill me. So don't really do it, everybody. At Hardwick, Mama's birthday is coming up in August.
Ooh. And there's so many choices now with this that you could get one of everything.
I mean, I'll take the Beatles.
Do you have a favorite Beatle?
No.
No? You just love them all?
Yeah.
I
thought together, they were the best together. I don't know, and I think solo, obviously Paul McCartney. Mm-hmm. I think the one that I seem to know the least about, but I wanted to know the most about, was Ringo. He seems, like somehow not as out there as the others, and I always wanted more from him.
Yeah, he's done some interesting solo projects as well, and
Yeah, he has.
he seems like an interesting guy, and of course Paul McCartney. In a lifetime you can have something happen to you, a career like the Beatles, but then the career he's had as a solo artist has also been mind blowing.
And that's, I hate to say it,
Yeah.
but that's another great Nerdist podcast.
Yeah.
I've never heard of Paul McCartney doing another podcast, but Chris flew to New York the week before Christmas to podcast Paul McCartney, and believe me, it was well worth it. It was fabulous. What a nice guy.
Yeah, he is a great guy. That was a great podcast. That was a really good one. And that's, again, Chris is so good at just talking to people on that humanistic level. And everybody definitely needs to listen to that. Everybody needs to listen to Sgt. Pepper's. And I think a lot of the youth today, some of the music that comes out these days is a little bit questionable, in my opinion and in my brain. Sometimes you just need to put on something like the Beatles. And I'm a huge vinyl fan. I love vinyl. So I can't wait to grab this on vinyl and sit back and listen. Why do you think vinyl's making such a huge comeback?
Well, I think everything comes back around. I think when people are really young, they become fascinated with, it's just like, I know that when even in decorating, when people, younger people like what was popular in the 60s and 70s, I go, ugh. That reminds me of, I had a great childhood, but it's just like, I don't know, it doesn't appeal to me. Yet I like the things, I like furnishings from the 40s and, before my time. And so I think that's just a natural progression as, younger people come up. They go back. I see girls with rollers in their hair now, big rollers.
Right.
They're walking around with rollers in their hair. I wouldn't be caught dead with rollers in my hair, but, I look at them and they're just so proud to be walking around with these big giant rollers in their hair. We didn't go out like that.
Right.
I love it. I think it's just absolutely great when people just embrace things. But, back to the Beatles, they're timeless. I've never met anyone who said, I didn't like the Beatles or I don't like it. I've never met the person.
That's a really good point. And
I'll watch people
just out of spite
and go, I don't like them.
Yeah, I think they'd be lying, obviously. And if everybody I was just in Cleveland, Ohio, at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and everybody, if you get a chance, needs to go out and check out the Beatles room in the Hall of Fame. It's absolutely phenomenal. I think they brought so much, not only to this country of the United States, but in music. And we're celebrating Sgt. Pepper's 50th anniversary. So if you've never heard it, take this opportunity now. Pause the podcast. We'll wait. Go and listen to Sgt. Pepper's.
Strawberry Fields Forever. Oh, my God.
Listen to that. Come on back and let Sharon and I know what you think. And if you say you don't like it, we know you're lying.
Yeah, tweet at us. Let us know.
Number 4.
Universal is bringing back our favorite classic monsters with a new twist. A dark universe was announced, and it just started to unravel with The Mummy. We're talking the new Mummy with Tom Cruise, Russell Crowe. It's out. It's there. People are going to see it. Some folks are saying they're missing Brendan Fraser. Yeah, some people are saying they're missing Boris Karloff, I guess. But this is the new Mummy movie. We have a female Mummy. We have Tom Cruise. And I haven't seen it yet, but it looks exciting. And I think, more importantly, this dark universe concept, I think, is really cool. So it's not stopping with The Mummy. We're going to see some reimaginings of some of our favorite classics, like The Invisible Man. Bride of Frankenstein is next on the docket.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I'm pretty excited. Are you excited as well, Sharon?
Yeah, I think I didn't know Bride of Frankenstein was coming, but I think that will be really great. I watched the trailer for The Mummy, and I don't like to fly. And so the first trailer I saw, they were in the plane, and when that plane started spinning and caught fire, and I was just like, okay, I'm not afraid of the mummies, but I'm afraid of that.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm out.
it was like terror.
You could handle the mummies, but planes, not so much.
Right.
Right.
But of course, anything with Tom Cruise,
Oh.
I like everything he does. I'm one of those people that thought maybe the movie was hokey, but the movie that he and Chris did, the Rock of Ages.
Yes.
Chris did the original character, Stacy Jacks. The guy who wrote it with him in mind, and so it was his character.
Wow.
Tom Cruise played that character in the movie. I thought, I don't care how hokey the movie was, but honestly, I thought that Tom Cruise carrying off that character was Oscar worthy, in my opinion, because it was so far removed. I mean, to me, that was acting, you know?
Yeah.
So I know he's going to be great in this. I've never seen him in anything I didn't think he was great in it.
And the Mummy's getting mixed reviews on Rotten Tomatoes. People have just been saying that it's, it's lacking the series campy fun, monster thrills. That it was more of one of the blueprints in Hollywood of this is how you do an action movie with Tom Cruise. So I didn't know you were a Tom Cruise fan. So I have to ask you then, how do you feel about his announcement or the news of a Top Gun sequel?
Oh, I'm so excited. I have chills just thinking about it.
Big Top Gun fan?
Oh, yes. I mean, gosh, that was so great. I'm very, very excited about it,
Yeah.
I'm always excited about anything he does. And, as far as Rotten Tomatoes and critics and all of that, Chris always says, why don't you just see it and judge for yourself? And that's what I would say.
Yeah.
I don't really care about someone else's opinion about whether or not I should or shouldn't like a movie. I'm going to see if I like it, and, if I do, fine, and if I don't, fine. But it's not going to be because someone else told me why I should or why I shouldn't like it, or if I didn't like it and they say, oh, you just didn't get it. Excuse me. Yeah, I got it, and I didn't like it.
Yeah.
But some people don't allow you that freedom of your own thought, and it irritates me.
Yeah, and I would love to have that conversation with Chris because he could very well, he's in the same class as far as podcasts, in my opinion, as the Adam Carollas, as the Joe Rogans, as the Kevin Smiths. I mean, Chris is one of the most notable podcasters ever. And, my podcasts aren't even nearly as close to, as large as his are and some of these guys. But those negative reviews, sometimes for me, they sting. They go right through me. And it's difficult. So I would love to hear his take on how he deals with that as well.
Well, you mean negative reviews about him?
Yeah, about the podcast. People can leave reviews on iTunes about Nerdist and about this podcast. So when he sees the real nasty ones, I would love to talk to him about how he handles that.
Yeah, it's interesting. How he's learned to, he feels this way about it. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's their opinion. He doesn't mind people not liking something or criticizing it. What I know bothers him is when they criticize the person.
Yeah.
And it's a personal attack.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they do that with people that he has on the podcast or with Jonah or Matt or other people, and that really angers him. He doesn't care what they say about him.
Yeah.
He just thinks that people shouldn't be mean, but people are mean sometimes,
Absolutely.
And I always think when people are mean, I feel so bad for what must really be going on inside of them. That they would do that. That they, I don't excuse it, and I don't go, oh, it's okay to be that way, but honestly, I do feel sorry for people that are that mean because I don't think anyone's born to be mean.
Yeah.
And they're just lashing out somehow. And I just want to say, the old saying, you get more flies with honey than vinegar, and you're miserable and you're unhappy. Why don't you try being nice?
Yeah. Well, in that same vein, I'm going to go see The Mummy with an open mind, Sharon, and I'm going to...
Yeah, do.
Yeah.
Me too. I'm going to even see it. I'm going to have to hide my eyes during the airplane scenes, but...
maybe we should get Bob Saget to go with us, and Bob Saget can cover your eyes, and we can all enjoy the film.
Oh, my God. Oh. Bob Saget and Adam Carolla giving his play-by-play.
we just
the whole,
we just create a new show, and we know somebody who can make it happen. So there's the beauty of that.
There you go.
Everybody go check out The Mummy, and let us know what you think about the Dark Universe.
Number 3.
Apple is at it again as the HomePod was announced. Apple is finally getting into the automated home system business with last week's announcement of the HomePod. The HomePod is a new speaker for your home that'll feature voice control, so Siri's going to be there, Siri intelligence, remote access, home automations through the Apple Home app, and it's compatible with the iPhone 5S, and later it'll be released this December and cost you a pretty penny at $349. So home automation. So Sharon, do you have an iPhone now, and do you have any kind of home automation system?
I have Apple everything.
Okay.
Every single thing, and I love it because it just works. It's as simple as that. I have no problems. Everything just works. So that's why I like it. And I'm going to ask a question about this.
Yeah.
I love home automation. I don't have it, though I'm moving into a new house in about 2 weeks. So I'm looking at a lot of different things. However, I do know something about home automation because I did the setup for Chris's home automation in the house that he lived in before he and Lydia bought their house.
Okay.
And so I was hands-on. I was at that house for 2 years, overseeing all the changes and putting in those systems. So I learned a lot. I didn't know anything about how that worked. But I'm going to ask you about this. I haven't really looked at it yet. So with this system, do you still have to have like a Lutron system in your house that marries all the switches and the gadgets, and then this operates through the Lutron, or is it just totally independent and it will just do whatever you tell it? It has to be connected somehow.
Yeah.
Or is it?
If you have like a Lutron system, it can be that complex, or it can be as easy as if everything you want automated is able to connect to the same network. So like your bulbs, instead of a switch, if you just get the Philips Hue bulbs, which are Wi-Fi themselves, and devices like that, then you don't have to do a huge overhaul. So it'll be easy to do home automation in that situation.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, I've been looking at a lot of different things, and I know that I'm on this neighborhood app called Nextdoor.
Okay.
And I really like it, and I got on it because Chris's assistant, her dog got out, and with that app, she got the dog back in 15 minutes and lives on a very busy street in LA. And so we do find dogs and cats and a lot of things on there. And so I've been noticing that a lot of people on there have one system or another where if somebody crosses a sensor on their property, like the neighbor across the street from me, he got an alert on his phone. He looked at his phone and he saw these two guys going to the back of his driveway towards his garage.
Ooh.
And he could see them on his phone, and he called the police, and the police came while they were still there, and they got them.
Wow. This app, it's like it networks neighbors, like in a neighborhood?
Well, so no, but the people on the app have been talking about it.
Yeah, it's like social network almost, but for neighbors.
I mean, I don't know if I can say the name of it.
Oh, we're good.
Yeah, and so it's called Ring. And so, and then yesterday I was on the app, and it showed it takes video if you get the cameras for it. But let's say that you're in London and someone rings your doorbell, you can literally answer on the intercom, and the person thinks you're inside.
Yeah, wow.
But you're really in London. And if they start to break in or whatever, you can set off the alarm, and then the police and all these other things. Well, now we just heard yesterday that Ring is going to hook into this Nextdoor app, so that if somebody breaks in or goes on the property of my neighbor and they get an alert, it's going to alert everybody on the app.
Wow. That's like home automation one step further and making it neighborhood
I just love it.
automation.
I love technology.
Yeah.
You know, none of my friends get it, and I'm the one that they call for everything, and you know, they don't understand this, and I set up everyone's computer, their iPhone, you know, because I love it. The more automated it gets, the happier I am. I just think it's awesome.
Well, and Sharon, you're going to absolutely love Apple's HomePod. And,
I can't wait, because anything Apple is, you know, I'm there.
She's Apple, Diet Coke, Catwoman, Sharon. This is going to be a good time.
Yes, it is. We'll play the Beatles music.
Done.
And we'll turn on the game and watch the Dodgers. We'll watch the Yankees and the Red Sox.
Yeah.
And you know what? We're good.
We're good. So everybody, Apple's HomePod, research it now and pre-order as soon as they let you, because it's going to be a hot seller this holiday.
Number 2.
Sharon, I know we mentioned a little bit how much we both love Universal, you in Hollywood, me here in Orlando. And theme park news is heating up. I was, again, fortunate enough to cover the grand opening of Volcano Bay, Universal Orlando Resort's first water theme park. Pretty much the coolest place on earth if you like water and parks and water theme parks. But there's been a couple rumblings here. Pandora has opened up in Disney's Animal Kingdom in Orlando to rave reviews. The area's decor, food, and attractions, their incredible bioluminescent environment that illuminates the park at night. The only downside so far seems to be the size of the area, as it's less than 30 acres. And it also remains to be seen if the appeal is due to being a new and unique creation from Disney Imagineering or the Avatar brand itself, and how the enthusiasm will be sustained. So I saw Avatar in IMAX when it came out, and I think that was it, and everybody kind of forgot about it.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it was still, I mean, you know, again, it's not something I'm really into, but I do like the Avatar thing, you know, and I don't know, I think that it's probably going to do well. I think there's room for every theme park that's around there, because millions of people go, and I think the more you spread it out, the more people can experience all of it. So
yeah,
I think the little kids will like it. So I think I don't know. I just have a feeling it's going to do well there.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, in my opinion, it comes down to the fact that rides are fun. So any kind of ride that's new and exciting is fun. And speaking of rides, speaking of fun, I'm pretty pumped. The amazing folks at Universal announced that Super Nintendo World was coming, and Universal Japan just released a nice little video that they just broke ground there in Japan last week on what could be the theme park project that I'm, again, most excited about, Super Nintendo World. So we're a few years off from the launch, but I can't wait to see what the masterminds behind the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Skull Island, Reign of Kong, and more have in store for us with this new land. And the video is great. The Mario characters, Nintendo characters are all over the place. They said the Super Mario Kart attraction will be the center of it over in Japan, and I can't wait for Nintendo to come to life.
I mean, I worry that Chris will move there.
That's how much he loves Nintendo?
Oh, God. Are you kidding?
That is phenomenal.
I mean, now I'm really worried. I hope they don't open that thing till I'm gone, you know? Because if he doesn't move there, he'll be there like once a month or something, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. And he loved Japan anyway.
Oh.
And, I mean, it was like nerdvana, I think, Japan.
You're going to lose him. You're going to lose him to to Japan.
Oh, I know. I know.
Well, it's going to open up here in Orlando as well down the road. So maybe he'll come back. Then he'll come back for the Orlando version. But
yeah, he has to.
I can't wait. It's Nintendo has always been my thing growing up. Zelda, so I hope there's Zelda themed areas because that's my favorite game series of all time, and I think it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. So Japan, when we'll all go. We'll go with Chris the first time he goes.
I'll probably stay home and hold the fort down here, but
all right.
You guys can go.
All right, we'll go, and we'll have fun. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen, a Super Nintendo World coming to Universal Japan.
Number 1.
If you're like Sharon and I, you love The Walking Dead, right, Sharon?
Absolutely.
Right, and what would The Walking Dead be without Talking Dead, which has always followed the AMC hit show and is hosted by, I'm pretty sure, one of your favorite guys on the planet, right? Mr. Chris Hardwick.
Yes, he's one of my favorites for sure.
So on behalf of the world, thank you for bringing Chris into our living rooms, helping bring him to our living rooms every single Sunday. And the success of the beautiful show Talking Dead and Talking Bad when Breaking Bad was on has led to Talking with Chris Hardwick. And he's had some amazing guests thus far, Elijah Wood, Jordan Peele, James Corden, to name a few. And it's almost like the Nerdist podcast now has leapt off of the mobile device or off of the streaming device and onto our screens. And I think what a beautiful transition, seamless, and just a fantastic show.
Well, I've really enjoyed talking with Chris Hardwick because, to be honest, there are a few of those people I didn't even know who they were. You know, there are only so many hours in a day that I can watch TV between all of his shows. It's
Right.
all I can do just to watch all of his shows, you know, and The Walking Dead and all of the sports that I watch. And I do work. I am a realtor. So I don't have, 40 hours a day to watch everything. So I do miss a lot. And there are some people, like I say, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Or like Elijah Wood. I knew who Elijah Wood was, but, it's not my genre. And so I didn't really know anything about him. I knew that Chris is crazy about him, just thinks, what a great guy. But I have to tell you, I became such a fan of Elijah Wood from watching that show.
Yeah.
The thing I loved about the show is it's not just like, you watch all these talk shows and they seem to be recirculated guests. Like you'll see them in the morning on Ryan and Kelly, and then they go over to the Today Show,
Yep.
and then they're on the talk shows at night, and they're saying the same exact thing that you already heard them say. And they're short little sessions. And with this, they don't seem to be necessarily promoting anything else, but even if they are, in an hour's time, or 42 or 44 minutes, whatever it is without commercials, you really are getting to know the person. And so I really loved that one. And I already loved Jordan Peele. I loved Key and Peele.
Okay.
But gosh, there's so much more to him. I had no idea.
Yeah.
So I'm really, I'm really loving the show for that reason, because it's broadening my horizons. But I love these intimate conversations with people, and I love that he's not. Again, I use the word prodding, but he's not prodding anyone.
No.
Tell me this, tell me that, or guiding them on something that he already thought about and that was concocted. It's such a natural conversation.
Yeah.
And I don't think he has any idea what the other person is going to say, and that's the beauty of it to me.
And I think that's what we love about Chris's style, from the Nerdist podcast to Talking Dead to now Talking, is he is a very relatable human being, and I think he puts people at ease, develops trust really quickly. So I've never met him. I'd love to, but it seems like he's very easy to talk to, and I think that's what we all appreciate about his style and enjoy watching the most. And
well, you know what it is? I swear to you, Dave.
Yeah.
he has a genuine caring and interest in people. You know, when you walk up to him and you're talking to him, he's not looking around the room.
Yeah.
He's looking, and look, as a mom, I notice those things. It's, you know, it's important to me. I remember trying to teach him that from a young age because he used to be distracted when I would talk to him. He had so many things, you know, going through his mind at one time, and I had to rein that in a little bit.
Yeah.
And I would say, okay, I'm talking to you, so you need to listen to me. Not you better listen to me, but it's like, you know, we can have a better conversation if you listen to me and I listen to you.
Yeah.
And so I'm so happy to see that he somehow did learn that, and that he has a natural longing to know what other people are thinking. And you know what it is, too? He has such a quest for knowledge and learning. And he feels that every time someone else opens their mouth, they might give a little bit of gold in his direction, and he doesn't want to miss it.
Yeah, and you know, in as much as I love watching him, I think the only on At Midnight, which you've been on, and Talking Dead and Talking, the one thing that I think I would really love to see is I would love to see the tables turned. I mean, I do have a podcast called The Solo Sessions that you've been on, so just tell Chris that he's welcome to come on anytime. And
I will.
I would love to hear an hour of people asking him questions and getting to know a whole lot more about him as a person. I think that would be great for his audience.
Yeah, I think that would be great too. I think that he's been on other podcasts.
Yeah.
But I don't know that those other. I don't. It was a different. They were kind of different formats. I don't remember. I think he's been on with Adam Carolla. That was great.
Yeah.
It was just funny, and I love Adam. I mean, every time he opens his mouth, we've known him for so long, and once he and Chris, I mean, years ago in the MTV days, they did. I think it was Pictionary, and I went, and then we had a break to eat dinner, and we were sitting at a table together, and I won't say the name because I honestly don't remember who it was, but there was a supermodel who was on the show with them, and we sat down at dinner, and I wish that I could have recorded Adam's conversation in my ear that only I could hear as he was giving a play-by-play of her picking at her lettuce. I swear to God, it was the funniest thing I have ever, and I was crying because I didn't want to laugh out loud. I was laughing so hard inside that I started crying because she's right there.
Yeah.
Chris is next to me and she's next to him.
That's great.
And I finally turned to Adam and I said, "Don't look at me and don't talk to me anymore. I can't take it."
That's phenomenal.
Yeah, but so that when he went on that podcast, all they did was joke around and talk about the business. But yeah.
Well, if we can get him on Solo Sessions, I'll have you on a 3-way call and waiting in the wings and not tell him. That way, if he says anything, you can just jump in and pounce.
There you go.
So, ladies and gentlemen, please, if you're not watching Talking with Chris Hardwick or At Midnight or listening to the Nerdist podcast, climb out from under that rock and watch and listen.
Don't forget the wall.
And follow Sharon on Twitter, @NerdistMom. Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that wraps up another countdown here on the Pop 10, the Pop 10 pop culture items for this month in June. And boy, time flies when you're having fun, right, Sharon?
Oh, absolutely. I can't believe it's already over.
This is phenomenal. I can't thank you enough for joining me again. We had met via Twitter years ago. You were kind enough to do a Solo Sessions with me, and now here we are reunited again. And I can't thank you enough.
Oh, I'm so happy to do it anytime. I love talking with you and visiting with you, and I'm going to hold you to the promise that you're going to come out to L.A.
Yeah.
before this year is over.
I'm trying to get there. I want to go to the West Coast and I don't slow down very often in life, so I'd like to, if I do,
I know.
I'd like to do it over there. So if I go there, though, you got to promise me that we're going to hang out.
We are definitely going to hang out, I promise.
Beautiful. Well, again, everybody, where can we find you again on the Twitters?
At Nerdist Mom.
At Nerdist Mom, like you said, it's a wonderful community. The pet pictures, people can keep those rolling in, right?
Absolutely. I love it. And when people send them, I retweet them because they're proud of their little babies, and I want to show them off too. And so it's just a nice place. Everybody, gets along, and we all support each other. And I know it sounds kind of Pollyannish, but I think we need it right now. And I think we just need to have people around us that build us up and not tear us down, and that's what I'm about.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you follow Sharon at Nerdist Mom and you have a exchange with her on Twitter, that's exactly what'll happen. You'll be elevated. I know I have been, and from this podcasting world, you make new friends, and Sharon, you are definitely one of the most sincere, genuine friends that I've made, and thank you for that.
Oh, thank you, Dave. I feel the same, and it's just been great being with you again, and let's do it another time.
Absolutely. So everybody check us out, of course, at thepop10.com, hashtag TP10 for the Pop 10, and say hello to us on the social media. So that'll wrap it up here for June. So for Sharon, for Bob in the studio, I'm Dave Solo. We'll see you next time right here on the Pop 10.
Bye, everyone.